Bruchot habaot, ladies, and welcome to our weekly shiur. Whether you're watching us at Torah and Judaism or at ohelsarah.com, we're so happy that you join us every single week. This week we have an interesting shiur, a very deep and very powerful shiur, and I wanted to give it to you personally, panim mul panim, face to face. I hope that Be'ezrat Hashem, the lessons that we learn are going to enhance your life, bring more spirituality into it, bring you closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and make you aware of some of the things that I think are important in our generation for us to learn, to adapt, and also to maybe even to change. I have a couple of announcements to make before we begin. As you know, we launched our Ohel Sarah site. Anyone who wants to take a look and be a part of this amazing site that has everything for the Jewish woman in it, we would love for you to log on, www.ohelsarah.com. Everything that's related to the household of a Jewish woman, you can find on that site. And also this shiur is dedicated Leilu Nishmat, my grandmother, Sarah Bat Mimona Cohen, Aleh Shalom. She should have an Aliyat Neshama. Ohel Sarah is actually named after her. She was a very, very special woman. For the refuah shlema of all those who need it in Klal Yisrael, and in general, I want to dedicate this shiur to the Ribono Shel Olam, that Be'ezrat Hashem, he should be Zaycha. Hashem should merit to see us coming closer to Him, to see us being devout Jews, devout Torah observers, so that together with Him we could finally be settled in Eretz Yisrael and see the Bet HaMikdash built in our days. Ladies, in this week's Parshat Va'era, we read about the first 7 makot that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought upon the Egyptians after Paro's refusal to let the Jewish people go. Now there are many deep lessons to be drawn from this parasha, but today I want to focus on a very, very interesting chidush. The pasuk states, I'm going to quote it to you, Lachen emor livnei Yisrael ani Hashem. Therefore say to Bnei Yisrael, I am Hashem. Vehotzeti etchem mitachat sivlot Mitzrayim, and I shall take you out from under the burdens of Egypt. Vehitzalti etchem me'avodatam, and I shall save you from their difficult labor. Vega'alti etchem bizroa netuya uvishfatim gedolim, and I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great judgments. Velakachti etchem li la'am, and I shall take you to me for a people. Ve'ayiti lachem le'elokim, and I shall be a God unto you. Ve'yada'atem ki ani Hashem Elokechem, and you will know that I am Hashem, your God. Hamotzi etchem mitachat sivlot Mitzrayim, the one who brought you out from under the burdens of Egypt. Wow, what words! We learn from the Gemara, the Yerushalmi Gemara of Psachim, that these psukim contain the 4 expressions of Geula, the Arba Leshonot Shel Geula. What are those 4 expressions? Vehotzeti, and I will take you out. Vehitzalti, and I will save you. Vega'alti, and I will redeem you. Velakachti, and I will take you. Now, ladies, we're all familiar with the minhag that the Chachamim instituted in commemoration of these 4 leshonot, of these 4 expressions. What's the famous custom? We drink 4 cups of wine on the first night of Pesach by the Seder. These are the Arba Kosot. And the Mefarshim raise a very interesting question. They ask, this is very nice, the leshonot, the kosot, but when all is said and done, there was actually 1 Geula from Mitzrayim. So why do we mention 4 expressions of Geula? These four leshonot really express the same thing that revolves around the one theme, which is the redemption from Egypt. So why the arba leshonot? To express one galut. Now many mefarshim, like the Ramban, Rabbeinu Bachaya, the Sforno, alav shalom, as well as many others, they all address this question and they each provide their own unique explanation. So today, ladies, we're going to answer this question and we're going to actually expand on the answer. So we're going to begin with the amazing words of the Or HaChaim HaKadosh alav shalom. The Or HaChaim discusses the fact that before Hashem redeemed the Jews from Egypt, He actually waited until Bnei Yisrael sank to the 49th level of Tumah, of impurity, and then He redeemed them. You see, ladies, there are levels of impurity, levels of Tumah, 50 to be exact, and every level is lower and worse than the level before it. Obviously, the worse the Averah, the lower the level will be that one enters. We should never know from these things. Now, in the Sidur of the Ari HaKadosh, alav shalom, he explains that in last week's parasha, the pasuk says, "Velo yachlu litma'ameh." The redemption from Egypt could not be delayed any longer. Why not? Why not? He says, because if Hashem would have waited just a little bit more, Am Yisrael would have sunk to the 50th and final level of Tumah, and once they're in that level, they would never have been able to have been redeemed or leave Egypt. That is a scary thought. But if that's the case, wouldn't it have been better if Hashem would have redeemed us a lot sooner before we sank to such an extreme level of Tumah? I mean, why did Hashem wait and allow us to enter such a state? So the Or HaChaim reveals to us something astounding, ladies. He tells us that Bnei Yisrael's spiritual decline to the 49th level of Tumah was not really due to their own horrible and lowly state during the Galut of Egypt. Rather, that it was orchestrated from Shamayim that they should fall to that lowly depth for the sake of the ultimate elevation. That's what we would call, by the way, Yerida letzorech aliyah, a decline for what? For the sake of elevation. This is a very deep concept, ladies, because what it means is that in the process of rising from the depths of Tumah, Am Yisrael would be able to take out from Egypt, together with them, all the sparks of Kedusha, all those nitzotzei Kedusha that had sadly fallen into the hands of the Klippa as a result of the sin of the Etz Hadat. Now, ladies, what does this all mean? It sounds very esoterical, but we kind of touched upon this idea in many of our classes. If you remember, quite a number of times we learned that when Adam and Chava were created, inside of them were also all the holy sparks, the holy neshamot that belonged to all the people in the world that would one day come out of Adam and Chava. The male sparks, the male neshamot, were in the body of Adam. The female neshamot were in the body of Chava. But when Adam and Chava sinned and they ate from the Etz Hadat, the Zohar Kadosh tells us, for lack of a better word, because we don't understand these very lofty concepts, but there was some form of explosion in their being, and all those holy sparks were dispersed into the universe. And many of those holy sparks, Baruch Hashem, were retrieved by the side of Kedusha. But unfortunately, many of those sparks were captured by the dark side, so to speak, by the klipot of Tumah. These holy neshamot that were taken by the dark side, they were taken to various parts of the world, to parts where Tumah rested within various impure nations, and they were kept there and guarded there so that they should not be released. So many of those Nitzutzei Kedusha, those holy sparks, ended up in Egypt, and they needed to be retrieved and redeemed. Imagine a king who cunningly penetrates the stronghold of a gang of bandits with his army, and he does that in order to retrieve the enormous and precious property that these bandits stole from the people of his kingdom. That's what happens here. Hashem, the Melech Malchei HaMelachim, waited until Bnei Israel penetrated all 49 levels of Tumah so that they'd be able to extract all the Nitzotzei Kedusha that had fallen and were kept in these low levels by the dark side. In other words, how am I supposed to retrieve these holy sparks that were in those very low levels of Tumah if I can't descend into that level in order to save them? By the way, do not try this at home, ladies. That doesn't mean that now you have the right to make averot and do all kinds of abominable actions in the hopes that by you being on such levels, you'll be able to draw out holy sparks. There's other ways to do this in our generation. It's too high and lofty for us, so please don't try this at home. But my question is, we know that Am Yisrael had to go down to the 49th level of Tumah in order to retrieve all those holy sparks that were kept there and guarded there. And not just the 49th level, but every level from 1, 2, 3 until 49. But I want to know, what about the 50th level? Why didn't Hashem allow us to enter that level and retrieve those holy sparks that sank even to that lowly state? If Bnei Israel would have entered that 50th level, it could enable them to retrieve those sparks of Kedusha, but Hashem did not allow that to happen. Why not? The Or HaChaim HaKadosh explains that the Tumah of the Sha'ar Hanun, that 50th level of impurity, the immorality and the lowliness of that level is so great that it's impossible for any living creature to actually enter its domain and escape unharmed. Ladies, that's why we have to be very, very careful about the actions that we do and the things and people that we congregate with, because if we're congregating with people who are on very low levels of Tumah and we enter that domain, especially the 50th level, which is obviously things that are abominable in the eyes of Hashem, it's very, very hard for us to actually leave that level and not be affected by it. This is something that Shlomo HaMelech Alav Shalom alludes to in Sefer Mishlei when he says, Kol ba'eha lo yeshuvun velo yasugu orchot chaim. All who come to her do not return, nor do they attain the ways of life. This is a very scary thought. But very interestingly, ladies, after the Torah Kedosha was given on Har Sinai, that very interestingly gave Am Yisrael the ability and the chance to succeed in retrieving the Nitzutzei Kedosha from the 50th level of Tumah if need be. Now, I just finished saying that we cannot enter and leave from that place. So how can we achieve it in this way? Chachamim say once the Torah was given at Har Sinai, through the study of Torah and through its mitzvot, meaning not descending into those levels actually, but by keeping the Torah, observing the Torah and its mitzvot, learning the Torah, what happens is the Torah is like a magnet. When you observe the mitzvot and you take the time to learn the beauty of Torah, the mitzvot and all that learning attracts all these holy sparks that were lost to the dark side, and you could help rectify them, refine them, and even redeem them. But I still want to know the following, ladies. Why didn't HaKadosh Baruch Hu take Bnei Israel out of Egypt much before they sank to the 49th level of Tumah? But then, we're told that after receiving the Torah and Har Sinai, it's okay? It's okay to go to those levels? We could retrieve the Nitzutzei Kedosha from all 50 levels of Tumah during the subsequent exiles? what's going on over here. Back then in Egypt, he didn't want us to sink to those levels, but now it's okay as long as it's through the study of Torah and mitzvot. What happened? What's the difference? This is something that many Chachamim want to know. So the holy Me'or Einayim Alav Shalom explains that Hashem arranged for Bnei Israel to go down into the Galut of Mitzrayim, not only to save and retrieve those holy sparks, but also to rescue the Torah which was in the Galut in Mitzrayim. And after this releasing of the Torah from the Galut, Hashem gave Bnei Israel this very same Torah at Har Sinai. Now wait a second over here. What does this mean? We never learned that the Torah was in the Galut, in Egypt. I want to know, because this Chidush of the Me'or Einayim just illuminated the entire subject of Galut Mitzrayim, and it makes me, and I'm sure you too, very curious to know what this all means. So let's read the Perush of the Me'or Einayim verbatim and try to understand what he's teaching us. He says like this: Sod Galut Mitzrayim hu ki hada'at haya bagalut. If you want to know the secret of the Egyptian exile, it's that during the exile, da'at was in Galut. Knowledge. How was knowledge in Galut? How was da'at in Galut? Shelo yad'u klal mehabore baruch hu umitorato. Because the knowledge of a creator, meaning the ultimate creator, and his Torah was absent in the world. Okay, that makes sense. So far, so good. And then the Me'or Einayim goes on to explain that although the Torah HaKadoshah had not yet been given prior to the Mabul, nevertheless, its influence was present in the world. So even though the Torah had not yet been physically given before Matan Torah, and even way before, even before the Mabul, it says it was present in the world. The influence was present in the world. It says, "Rak shelo nitla bilvushim kemo achar matan Torah." The difference, he says, however, was that the Torah was not given in its present form, the way we know it, physically that is, until Matan Torah. So what that means is that the influence of Torah was present in the world, but the actual Torah wasn't in the world the way it is now, and after it was given on Har Sinai. And we know that in fact there were very many extraordinary individuals like the Avot HaKadoshim who observed the laws of the Torah even though the physical Torah had not yet been given. And they did that because they realized the inner truth of the Torah HaKadoshah before it was given to the people, to the Jewish people here on this earth in its current and physical form. Now, we know that the Torah was originally in the Shamayim. If it was in the Shamayim, it was there in the Ruchani form and not the physical form. It only took on a physical form when it came down to the earth on that day at Har Sinai. So these amazing individuals like Metushelach, Chanoch, Adam HaRishon, the Avot HaKadoshim, they all observed what we called with the spiritual laws, so to speak, even though the Torah hadn't yet been given in its physical form down below. Okay, so far so good. I'm just creating an introduction here for you so you understand the main gist of the shiur. And then the Me'or Einayim writes that unfortunately, during the generation of the flood, what did the people declare? It's written in Iyov. They say, Mi shakai kina avdenu. Who is exactly Shakai, Shin, Dalid, and Yud that we should serve him, the Ribono Shel Olam? So we see that although there was a presence of Hashem in the world, people chose to ignore it and even defy it. So let's go to the Midrash of Bereshit Rabbah and understand this idea a little more. The first pasuk in the Torah is Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. In the beginning of Hashem creating the world, He created the heavens and the earth. This Midrash teaches us that the Torah served as the blueprint for creation. Kli umanuto shel hakadosh baruch hu. Hashem looked into the Torah that Hashem originally created up in Shamayim, and He used the Torah to create the universe. It says, Hayam mabit b'Torah uboret ha'olam. He would look into the Torah and then create. Here's where we learn, by the way, a very important principle that actually proves that there is indeed a creator. And the Me'or Anayim applies this principle called Koach HaPo'al Banif'al, which means the power and the characteristics of the maker are apparent in the object that he made or acted upon. In other words, ladies, you could see the power of Hashem, you could see the essence, you could know that He exists by just looking at this world. You could realize His wisdom by analyzing the nature of this world and how it was set up. Any item attests to its creator. This bottle of water attests to a creator. Somebody invented this plastic bottle. This stender here that I'm using, somebody created it. It attests to a creator, and so on and so forth. Obviously, the more advanced the creation, the more it speaks about the being who created it. So that means that even prior to Matan Torah, the influence of the Torah was present in the creation because the Torah was used to create this world. The only difference was that it wasn't in its current earthly form, the form that we're familiar with. The form that it took was when it came down at Har Sinai, when it was given to Bnei Yisrael. And since that day at Har Sinai, when the Torah Kedosha was physically given to Am Yisrael, what happened was that the letters of the Torah that came down from the Shamayim and took a physical form in the Luchot, in the scrolls, in what today is the Torah that's written, those letters came to life through the mitzvot in the Torah, which means the mitzvot are written mitzvot. We're told, lo tisa et shem Hashem lashav, lo tirtzach, lo tignov. That's those written words, right? So you know what that means? The letters took on a physical form. And now they have to also take its physical form in the mitzvah too. What does that mean? It means, for example, the mitzvah of tzitzit is performed on a physical garment. It means that the mitzvah of tefillin takes the form of the physical psukim that are written on a physical parchment, and that parchment has to be obtained from the gashmi, from the material hide of an animal, and so on and so forth. A sukkah, the mitzvah of sukkah, takes the form of a physical built hut. It means that all the mitzvot are now expressed in terms that relate to everyday earthly physical matter. And interestingly, the Gemara of Yoma explains that Avraham Avinu, alav shalom, observed the entire Torah. We said some of the Avot HaKadoshim and other holy people did, but how could Avraham have possibly known what the Torah says before it was actually given? So Rav Tzadok Cohen, alav shalom, reminds us that the entire universe was created with the Torah as its blueprint. We said this earlier. And that means that the letters of the Torah, they exist within every element of creation. So when Avraham Avinu took the time to examine and contemplate the deeper significance of creation, he succeeded in revealing and comprehending the knowledge of Torah that's concealed within the creation. You understand the depth of what's being said over here, ladies? Everything in this world that was created by the Ribono Shel Olam as a result of Hashem looking into the Torah and using it as His blueprint, everything in this world has those letters of Torah somehow embedded within it. And that's what keeps that thing, no matter what it is, a tree, a flower, the rivers, a plant, doesn't matter what it is, that's what keeps it in existence. And if you'll take the time to analyze the creation, you could discover the spiritual world within everything that you see. And by doing that, by taking the time to do that and discovering the spirituality in this world, it brings you closer to the recognition of a creator and the reality of the world that he created. And by the way, I forgot to say this from the beginning, Parshat Vayera, by the way, which is the Parsha that we're studying, is the Parsha that I was born in, Parshat Vayera. And I'm sorry that I forgot to mention this. There's some people out there who've been emailing me, viewers on Torah Anytime, people that logged on to olsara.com, and reminding me that it's my birthday coming up very soon. And this year, it's a special birthday because it comes out, my Hebrew birthday and my English birthday comes out on the same day, which is January 6th. So I don't know if I'm going to have time to do another shiur by January 6th, maybe yes, maybe no, but just in case I don't, I wanted to, first of all, give you all a bracha, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should fulfill all of your needs bimhera. Kol mishalot libchem letova ulivracha, should be for the good. You should experience nachat, a true joy in life. Hashem should bring down from the shamayim beracha, v'atzlacha, siyata dishmaya. You should be able to see Hashem clearly in your life. The path that you choose should be one of true service, true avodat kodesh, be'ezat Hashem. You should fulfill your missions in this world as nashim kedoshot, as a holy woman of Klal Yisrael, and be zoiche to witness and to experience the days of Mashiach with miracles and blessings, be'ezat Hashem. And people were asking me, what could we get you for your birthday? What is it that you want? It's so special of you, very, very special of you. But I don't want anything this year. If you want to do me a favor, if you want to give me a gift, you could log on to olsara.com and make a donation. We have a Split the Pot raffle that's coming up. We have a mini iPad that we're raffling off. You could donate in my name, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give me more brachas in my life, and that's the best gift that you can give me. But I wish you all tremendous, tremendous bracha v'atzlacha. Just wanted to take the time to do that. Anyway, going back to the Me'or Einayim for a moment, he explains why Galut Mitzrayim was b'chlal necessary. He writes that the people of the generation of the flood, the Dor HaMabul, they were so wicked and they were so corrupt that they caused the Torah, meaning the spiritual Torah that was here on earth, that we said, its essence, to fall into the klippah of Mitzrayim. What's a klippah? We're talking very esoterical terms. What are klippot? The klippot in Kabbalistic terms, and again, I'm watering it down for you so that, layman's terms, so that we can all understand it. The klippot are the forces of evil that place barriers between you and Hashem. The objective of the klippot is to create a shell, a casing around your neshama, so that it doesn't allow your neshama to create to its spiritual source. Hence the name klippah, which means an outer casing. The klippot prevent the good and the spiritual from being revealed. How does this klippah take place? Through averot. Every time an avera happens, a klippah is formed around the neshama. The more klippot, the worse averot, the thicker the klippot are. That's why sometimes you see that it's very, very hard to get through to somebody spiritually. It's because they're filled with klippot. You have to literally remove all the outer casings and the shells, all those klippot, in order to get to the heart of the person. The heart of the person is the neshama, obviously. It's very deep inyanim. So the Me'or Einayim explains that there were certain parts of the Torah that spread throughout the universe, obviously, because Hashem used the Torah in order to create this world, and those parts actually come from the spiritual Torah that's situated near Hashem in Shamayim, and Hashem is the giver of the Torah. Now, when human beings interact with this world in accordance with the guidelines of the Torah with which the universe was created, you know what the result is? they successfully connect the Torah that is within the physical creation, they connect it to the origin of the Torah that's in Shamayim next to Hashem. That connection has to happen. And when that happens, the force and the source that energizes this entire world, which is the Torah, that energy revitalizes the creation and keeps it in existence. That's what we recite every morning, ladies, in the Tefillah of Shacharit, when we say HaMechadesh betuvo bechol yom tamid ma'aseh bereshit. He who renews in his goodness every day continuously the work of creation. This cannot happen if we don't observe the mitzvot. If that spiritual Torah, if the guidelines of Torah are not met, and we're not connecting the upper Torah to the lower Torah, so to speak, terrible things can happen. So the Moranim says, Be'emet, what happened? What happened? He says that the people of the generation of the flood, they were immoral. Ki ishchitu kol basar et darko al haaretz. For all flesh had corrupted its way upon the earth. Their immoral ways created a disconnect between the elements of Torah that are embedded within the fabric of creation and the source of the Torah, which resides in Shamayim next to Hashem. There was a disconnect. They disconnected it because of their immoral ways. You know what the result was? Those people managed to bring about the destruction of the world. Because the creation could no longer draw energy from the source, which is the Torah that's in Shamayim. Therefore, the world had to be destroyed. You hear this, ladies? Not only that, but when the Dor HaMabul sinned in areas of Kedusha, they caused those spiritual elements of Torah that were present already in the creation to fall into Galut Mitzrayim. And Egypt is described as the cesspool of immorality, Ervat Haaretz. Egypt was steeped in immorality. Yosef HaTzadik Alav Shalom, who was the epitome of Kedusha, actually makes this point to his brothers when he first meets them after 22 years, when he accuses them of being spies. What does he tell them? He says, Lirot et ervat haaretz batem. What? You mean to tell me you came to see the nakedness of the land? He was implying, why else would you be here? Because Egypt is a cesspool of immorality. But ladies, let's not forget also that the Midrash tells us that because Bnei Israel safeguarded themselves from the immorality in Mitzrayim, they merited to be redeemed. I want to read you the words of the Midrash because you have to hear this. It says, Kedai haya gidur erva be'atzmo shenig'alu Yisrael al yado. This one thing, just that one thing, forget everything else, that they didn't change their language and they didn't change their names, they didn't change the way they dress, they remained Jews through and through. Forget all of that. This one thing, where Am Yisrael safeguarded themselves from immorality, was sufficient enough for reason to redeem them. You hear this, ladies? Ladies, we live in a very dangerous world today. We're living in an America that I don't recognize anymore. Be'emet, here I am talking to you, honestly. I find that the United States has become so liberal, and all the religious and moral values of its founding fathers has been tossed to the wayside and even looked down upon. This Greek attitude that has filtered into American society has unfortunately penetrated our communities as well, ladies. How careful do we have to be to preserve the honor and the morality of the Torah and Hashem's glory? How careful do you have to be? Tomorrow night is New Year's Eve. I spoke about this day. I spoke about the significance of that day last week. It's not a simple day, And as I told you, people should not be going out partying or doing anything on that night. But I want to remind you again that this day is not supposed to be celebrated by Jewish people. I want to remind you what the Rabbanim of yesteryear and modern day rabbis tell us about inappropriate gatherings, whether it's on New Year's Eve or any other day. You have to know, when we attend performances, simchas, events, dinners, or any party that is inappropriate for us. And certainly, I want to point this out, if those events are being hosted by people who don't represent the values of Torah, or worse, you know what happens? Eventually, you start identifying with that event and the people who are hosting it. Eventually, you're going to come to ignore the Torah's position on inappropriate outings and gatherings. Eventually, you're going to ignore the Torah's position on immoral behavior, because that's human nature. People are extremely vulnerable. And when you attend events or gatherings that are inappropriate for a bat melech, you begin to get comfortable with the atmosphere, and you even start to accept it. Even though it goes against the very fiber of Torah, and it would be a great chilul Hashem for you to be there. That's the attitude that liberals have adapted. Everything goes. What's the problem? Do, enjoy, be merry, be happy. But much of what's been sanctioned in the United States actually violates the Torah's view on morality. So when we attend any function, any event, or any gathering, even if it appears to be kosher v'yosher, ladies, when the organizers of these events live a life that contradicts the values of Torah, your attendance at such events is breaking down the walls of tzniut and morality. You have to be so careful, ladies. You don't want to be a part of that. I think that Rabbi Avram Gordimer in the Jewish Press articulated this point very well when he said in his article last week, I don't read the Jewish Press, not for any reason, just don't read magazines too much. But somebody sent me his article that he wrote recently, and I wanted to share it with you. He wrote the following, I'm quoting him. If someone embodies a lifestyle or identity that clashes with the Torah, can we happily host, celebrate, or publicly praise that person, even if we're not part of his or her captive and impressionable audience? It's so true. Be careful where you gather, ladies. Try not to create a chilul Hashem. If you breach the walls of tzniut, no good is going to come of it. As nashim kedoshot in Am Yisrael, our job is to guard the Torah, to guard its position, and to maintain HaKadosh Baruch Hu's kavod. You don't belong at such events, not on the night of New Year's Eve or any other night. I'm asking you not to attend any function that goes against what we stand for as Jews, or any gathering that is not suitable or appropriate for a Haredi Jew, for an observant Jew. I can't be more explicit than that, ladies. I feel badly for Hashem. I feel badly for Hashem. I do. I have this terrible heartache for him, that he looks down and he sees what's been going on in Am Yisrael. It even borders on immorality. The things that we're interested in doing, the places that we're interested in to visit. I feel badly for Hashem. This is not who we are. This is not our essence. This is not what He hopes for us. But moving on, very interestingly, ladies, the Arizal adds in the Sefer Shar HaKavanot a fascinating chidush. He writes that all the neshamot that transgressed both in the Dor HaMabul as well as the Dor HaFlaga, they all came back as a gilgul in those neshamot who went down to Egypt. And Hashem did that so that they could achieve their ultimate rectification. They had to do a tikkun. And as a consequence, by the way, fascinatingly, we find that their respective punishments parallel each other. It's a midah keneged midah. What they did in the previous generations, they had to be punished for in this generation. What does that mean? Well, we said the neshamot that corrupted themselves in the Dor HaMabul, in the generation of the flood, they were eradicated by the waters of the flood, right? That was the punishment. They brought the waters upon the earth. And by the way, just as a side point, why did it have to be a flood? Why did the whole world have to be flooded? It's because the whole world, as a result of their immorality, was corrupted. The whole world became immoral. Even animals were not loyal to each other anymore. Could you imagine? So what did Hashem do? Hashem literally had to bring a flood to the world in order to, we'll say, not just drown out the immorality, but to immerse the world in a mikveh in order to cleanse it from the immoral ways. Can you imagine? The world went into a mikveh. So these people that corrupted themselves in the Dor HaMabul and caused Hashem to bring the flood waters, similarly in Egypt, they were punished in the same way. Paro decreed, later on, already by the 10th Makkah, that every firstborn male child of Am Yisrael should drown in the Nile River. This is a midah keneged midah. Water or water. During the Dor HaFlaga, what did the people tell each other? They said, oh, let us make bricks and burn them in the fires. Well, what were they going to do with those bricks? You know what they wanted to do with those bricks? They wanted to use those bricks to build a tower so high that they'd be able to reach the Shamayim and wage war against the Ribono Shel Olam and deny his sovereignty. Midah keneged midah, then, later on, how were they punished in Mitzrayim? The Egyptians embittered their lives with hard work, with mortar and with bricks. What does the pasuk say? Ba'avoda kasha bechomer ubilvenim. What about the city and the tower that they built? How were they punished for that? When they came back, begilgul and Mitzrayim, they were punished accordingly. That to build storage cities and a great tower for Paro, and the cities were named Pitom and Ramses. They suffered while they were building. So from all these parallels, the Chachamim understood that the sins of the Dor HaMabul and the Dor HaFlaga, it caused the letters of the spiritual Torah to fall into Galut Mitzrayim. And because they did that, they had to be reincarnated into Mitzrayim in order to endure the back-breaking labor with mortar and bricks, in order to cleanse and retrieve the holy letters of the Torah that had fallen into the darkness of Egypt by their very hands. They caused it to happen. That's why it was necessary for them to endure such extreme hardships in Egypt. It's because through that bitter slavery, they succeeded in extracting all the different aspects of the Torah from the Galut in Mitzrayim. That same Torah that they helped trap in that awful Galut as a result of their immorality. So, now that we've learned all these fascinating ideas, let's talk about the words that we recite on the night of the Seder, the night of Pesach. We say, Baruch HaMakom, Baruch Hu, Baruch Shenatan Torah Le'amo Yisrael, Baruch Hu. We praise Hashem. Blessed is He who gave the Torah to His people, Am Yisrael. Well, I want to know, what's the connection between receiving the Torah and the night of the Seder? Ladies, on the night of the Seder, we're not just narrating Bnei Yisrael's exodus from Egypt. We're also recounting the glorious redemption of the Torah that was stuck in Mitzrayim. So do you know why HaKadosh Baruch Hu delayed the redemption and waited until Bnei Yisrael sunk to that 49th level of Tumah? Because Hashem wanted Bnei Yisrael to enter the 49th level of Tumah in order to extract, first and foremost, the Nitzotzei Kedusha that were trapped in those lower levels of Tumah. This we know. Yes, true. But why didn't Hashem take them out sooner? Anyway, take them out sooner and allow them to save the Nitzutei Kedusha through the learning of Torah, through the learning of mitzvot, just like we do now, where we rescue the sparks that are even in the 50th level by our observance of Torah and mitzvot. How come we couldn't do it back then? And why did Hashem have to wait and couldn't take us out sooner? And just let us bring us out sooner, and let us do our work by the study of Torah and mitzvot, like we do today. The reason is because of what the Ma'or Anayim taught us. You see, during Galut Mitzrayim, Bnei Yisrael entered the 49th level of Tumah, not just to retrieve those holy sparks, but also to extract the 49 levels of Binah, of understanding, that were inherent in the Torah, which was stuck in Galut Mitzrayim. And we all learned earlier that the previous generations caused the Torah to fall into the Klippa of Mitzrayim. And that's why it was necessary for Bnei Yisrael to go down to Egypt to elevate the Torah and free it from the Klippa of Mitzrayim. However, Bnei Yisrael could not enter the Sha'ar Hanun of Tum'ah, that 50th level, in order to retrieve the essence of Torah that sunk even to that 50th level. Because anyone who enters that realm can never come out, especially if the Torah had not been physically given. That's the crucial point here. But once the Torah was officially given on Har Sinai, all of its strength and all of its Kedusha, which manifests itself through our learning, through the mitzvot, that protects us and gives us the ability in this final galut to retrieve those holy sparks, to retrieve those levels of Torah, even from the 50th level of Tumah, without the fear of being trapped in that level. In other words, ladies, once the Torah HaKadosha was given, it became like a magnet that attracts these holy sparks, even from that distant realm of the 50th level of Tumah. So, going back to the beginning of the shiur, let's try to explain why HaKadosh Baruch Hu mentioned the 4 leshonot of Geula with regards to that one exodus from Egypt. Now, as we know, there are 4 ways in which our Torah learning is divided, and it's represented by the acronym PARDES. PARDES stands for Pshat, Remez, Drash, and Sod. The Ari HaKadosh in his Sefer Shara Gilgulim explains that a Jew is obligated to engage in all these 4 levels of Torah study. Not women, men. But anyway, we do that. Me and you, we do that. They're supposed to be dealing with the Pshat, which is the simple, straightforward understanding of the text. The Remez, which is the interpretation of the text based on hints or clues that Hashem leaves in the Torah. Dirash level, understanding the Psukim based on more intricate explanations by our Mefarshim. And then there's the Sod level, which is the mystical interpretations of the text based on hidden meanings, codes, and things of that nature. Now, the Ari HaKadosh adds that all 4 of these aspects of the Torah were in exile in Egypt. The Pshat, the Remez, the Drash, and the Sod. These 4 aspects of Torah were trapped in Galut Mitzrayim. And we learned earlier that Bnei Yisrael went down to Egypt in order to liberate the Torah from the depths of the Galut. That's precisely why HaKadosh Baruch Hu used the 4 expressions of Geula. Ve'otzeti, ve'hitzalti, ve'ga'alti, ve'lakachti. These 4 expressions of redemption allude to the redemption of each of the 4 aspects of Torah that were rescued from the depths of Mitzrayim. And that's how we could learn the Torah fully and completely on those 4 levels. The Torah was also redeemed on that day. So now you could appreciate the idea of drinking 4 cups of wine on the Seder night, which corresponds to the 4 expressions of Geula. We drink 4 cups of wine to commemorate the 4 Leshonot of Geulah. And we're also alluding to the 4 parts that make up the Torah, the Pshat, Remez, Drash, and Sod, those 4 elements which were redeemed from Egypt. So for each of those elements of Torah learning, we drink a cup to their redemption as well. So the next time now the Seder coming up, we should have a Seder, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should redeem us before, but if we happen to have to sit on the Seder night, every time you take a cup, you're not only commemorating one of the Leshonot, you're also commemorating the essence of Torah, each of those 4 elements of Torah that was redeemed, which helps you understand, by the way, the Torah even more and connect to Hashem. So it's a double celebration. But wait, ladies, isn't there a minhag in every Jewish home to pour one more cup of wine, a 5th cup known as the cup of Eliyahu Hanavi? What's with that 5th cup? Chatan Sofer Alav Shalom points out that we drink 4 cups of wine which correspond to the 4 expressions of Geulah. But in fact, if you look in the Psukim in Sefer Shemot, there's an additional expression of Geulah where the Pasuk says, Veheveti etchem el haaretz. Hashem promises us that He's going to bring us to the land. Veheveti. So why isn't that 5th expression also included? Why don't we have 5 cups that we drink plus Kos Eliyahu? So the explanation is as follows. That 5th expression of Geulah will only be completely fulfilled at the time of the future Geulah, when Hashem will gather all of Am Yisrael from the 4 corners of the earth and bring them to Eretz Yisrael. That's why a cup of wine wasn't instituted to correspond this expression, because that's a future and final Geulah. But nevertheless, because we have such faith that it's going to happen, we instituted the minhag that we accepted upon ourselves to pour a 5th cup of wine, the Kos Eliyahu, which corresponds to the expression of Veheveti. And with that 5th cup, we're alluding to the fact that Eliyahu Hanavi Zachor Latov will herald in the future Geulah. In other words, with Eliyahu Hanavi Zachor Latov as the Shaliach, the 5th expression of Geulah will become a reality, ladies. Veheveti etchem el haaretz. Hashem will bring us to the Holy Land, and Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to experience the Torah on all levels with clarity. May it be bekarov, and may we all help bring it to fruition. Amen. Ken, Yeh Ratzon.